Hey guys, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Diana and I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 little kids. My channel is all about motherhood and my family life, so please like and subscribe for me. I've had both kinds of birth. I had my epidural first and then I had a unmedicated birth for my third baby. My second baby was a C-section, unplanned C-section. So I'll jump right into it and talk about it. My pros and cons. Pro for my epidural birth would be that I could sleep and I could rest. My plan originally wasn't to get an epidural, but I was so tired from the previous night not getting sleep and I felt like my body just could not do it. So I got the epidural and I'm glad I did because I fell asleep right away and I slept for a long time and we watched movies, we hung out. It had to be in pain my whole labor. I was able to get rest and not have to push through each contraction for hours and hours and hours. And everyone's labor is a different time frame. You don't know if you're gonna be in 5-6 hour labor or 10, 12 like mine usually are, or like 24 hours. Some people it can really vary. I could talk to my husband, which was nice. With my other birth I really couldn't. I had to save every breath for my contractions and breathing through them. So when I got the epidural with my first, it took a lot of stress away. It took a lot of the stress away from being a first-time mom. I was really kind of panicking when the contractions really started hitting, and it was scary, like going through it for the first time. And when I got the epidural, it made me feel a lot more relaxed, and I could actually enjoy the moment almost like I'm becoming a mom. And it was nice knowing that I don't have to feel every single painful thing in this experience, and I can enjoy it and not look back and think, wow, that was awful. So, and another pro I wrote down, is that you can increase the medication amount if you need it. They say not to press it too much because you'll go really numb, and I think I did that. So be careful. All right, so here are my cons. So I couldn't feel myself from the waist down, and I think a lot of people don't like feeling numb, and I'm one of those people. I really didn't enjoy it. It made me feel powerless, and you're confined to the bed. You can't get out. And another is you have to have a catheter. There's no choice about that. I didn't even really know that. I thought somehow maybe I wouldn't have to. This is why you need to do your research. I was only 18 when I had my first baby. So, and you can't push in any other position than your back. Maybe you could in some other places if you're able to get up, but I don't really think you can when you're completely numb like that. So this is my biggest con for an epidural, was it made the after pains way worse. Getting up and going to the bathroom hurt way more when I got my epidural compared to my last baby I had that was natural. And I didn't even know this until I had her, and I was able to get up perfectly fine 30 minutes, 20 minutes after giving birth. Like, what? Like, I'm like barely in pain. I feel like I didn't even give birth. So an experience I had with getting my epidural is I was getting yelled at to grab my own legs when it was time to push, and I couldn't pull them up. I was so weak. I don't know what was wrong with me. I think the medication made me really out of it and like really weak, and my legs were so numb. I remember they felt like 200 pounds trying to lift them up. Thankfully I had my husband and my mom there, and they helped me, and the nurses, they weren't being very helpful about it, so they helped me. And I was able to push them out, and it was fine. I still feel myself pushing because they turn off the epidural when it's time to push. Another thing that really sucks is that you're stuck in the bed and you can't get up at all, and you could be laying there for like hours, days. It's crazy. So, and it can slow down labor too if you're not getting up and moving around. So another con I wrote down, my last one for my epidural, was shakes. I got really shaky after having him. I wouldn't stop shaking. I think even during my labor I was shaky and like getting cold. So personally, I don't think I would get an epidural again unless it was necessary for whatever reason. Of course, I would do whatever I needed to keep my baby safe. And my pros and cons for my natural birth. I loved my natural birth. That would be the way I would want to have all of my babies. She was a VBAC, so my experience might be different in some ways, I'm not sure. I was able to be in tune with my own body. Pro is being able to just get up and walk around, like if you're in pain. I personally, once I got to be like in a lot of pain, I didn't want to get up and walk around or get on the ball. I did for a while, but I got to the point, it was just like hard for me to cope with it, maybe because I didn't like take any birthing classes or anything like that, so maybe I didn't have good enough coping mechanisms. But my midwife was really helpful. She helped me with my breathing and stuff, and I kind of just like laid in a ball and grabbed the rail and was just focusing on taking my breaths the most. But you have the option of walking around and moving, getting in a comfortable position. You're not totally stuck laying down, which you would be with an epidural if you're really numb. And I wrote that you have a powerful feeling when you have a successful unmedicated birth. Like really, I still feel like Superwoman after doing it, because it's crazy. It's hard to do. It's one of the most painful things. And another is knowing when you are going into transition and it's time to push. Well, with my first baby, I didn't really know. I just felt like, oh, I think I need to go number 2. And no, I did not need to go number 2. That was the baby's head. And this time it's like, well, they had broken my water, and then things progressed very fast, and I knew like it was really getting time to push. I had said, I think I need to push, and I was a 9, barely, almost a 10, and I knew already. My body was telling. Another thing I was able to do with my unmedicated birth was catch my own baby. When I pushed her out, I bent over and I grabbed her and I pulled her up before the midwife was even able to totally finish everything. It was a total instinct. I think when you're working off all that adrenaline, your natural instincts kick in, and I didn't really feel the same way with my epidural. I must have been really out of it then when I compared the two in my head. And another was that I was in way less pain when I got up to use the bathroom. Right after you have a baby, they make you get up about like 30 minutes or an hour after. They make you get up and use the bathroom to make sure everything's okay. And with my epidural, I could barely even walk to the toilet. It was hard. And with my unmedicated birth, I got up and I barely even needed help. And I was telling the nurse, I'm like, I can't believe how easy this is. She's like, okay. I'm like, it was just so much easier than the first time. Another thing was I didn't get an IV because I didn't really need one because I wasn't getting any sort of medication in my body, so I was able to decline that and just drink water instead. With an epidural, I think it's kind of standard where they have to give you an IV. You can't really decline it. And for me, I just really hated them. Honestly, that might have been the worst part of having my epidural birth, and it's only because they left the IV in my hand for 3 days and didn't take it out until I was about to leave the hospital. And I think that was just the hospital's mistake. It probably wouldn't happen somewhere else, but yeah, I declined it because I did not want to go through that again. So here's my cons on having a unmedicated birth. Okay, obviously, the most obvious one would be is that you can feel all the pain from the moment it starts till the moment it ends. And I'm gonna just say that the pain isn't just crazy painful the entire time. It's gonna fluctuate. You're gonna have the peak of the contraction, and it's gonna go away, and you can rest. And I think a lot of women can get through it if you practice your proper mindset, and you can do it. I had a lot of anxiety with my unmedicated birth. I was embarrassed about making noises, and I was getting scared that I could not cope with the pain as it progressed. That was the main thing. I just kept thinking this is just gonna keep getting worse and I'm not gonna be able to handle it. And I figured out that I just had to take it one contraction at a time. And that's what I've heard from other people too. If you take it just one step at a time, like you'll make it through eventually. Because once you get to the point where you're at the end, your body is just gonna push you to go through it. And it did, and it was fine. So, and I was, you don't really care when you're in labor, but I was like, in the way back of my mind, I was embarrassed for making noises and stuff. And I was in a different position. I was holding on to the back of the bed in the end of my labor, and they were telling me that I could push that way, but I didn't want to because I was embarrassed. I didn't want my butt showing for whatever reason. I wanted to just lay on my back because that's how I did it with my other birth, and I regret it a little bit because I think it would have made the pushing process easier if I had just done what my body wanted to do naturally. So that is a big con of feeling the pressure of like doing things how it's normally done and not trying to do what your body wants it to do. So I was very loud when I was pushing. I was probably scaring a lot of women on that floor because I watch a lot of birth videos, and I'll see women who are just breathing through while they're pushing, and I don't understand. Like, I was not able to do that. I tried, but I couldn't. And that's another like thing that goes with the embarrassment part, is that I felt embarrassed for like being loud, but that's what birth is about. So it's all good at the end of the day. And so there's something called the ring of fire when you're pushing the baby's head out, the biggest part, and when it stretches open the biggest, and you're gonna feel that if you're doing it unmedicated, and it hurts. And I had anxiety thinking about it because like my mother-in-law would tell me about it, and I was scared. And it hurt. It was the worst part of it all. And I did push. I pushed her out too hard because I just wanted to get it over with. And luckily I didn't really tear any more than I did with my first baby, but I could have. A lot of people do tear more doing it that way because they push hard trying to get through the pain, and then they tear. So no matter what birth you choose or end up doing, I hope I helped you in some way by sharing my experience, and please like and subscribe for me. Bye bye.